Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. And today we're going to be going over all of the latest and greatest updates for the PS Vita. There are a ton of new changes, a ton of updates, and a ton of new applications that just got released within the past month or so. So we're going to cover everything here in this video. And if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos in the future. Thank you. And before we get started, a big shout out to all of my channel members here on Robles Jr. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. And if you'd like to support, I'll have that link in the description down below. It is much appreciated. Thank you all so much for being here. And also a big thanks to all of my Patreons. Thank you guys so much for joining and for being a part of that platform and supporting everything that I do. So thank you all so much. First up, the biggest news that we're going to be covering is VitaDB. It is finally back online and the dev has made his return to the scene. So that is very exciting. There will be some new changes and some new features introduced very soon to this application. And if you go and check out the application right now on your PS Vita, you should be able to update all of your apps and look at all of the available homebrew for the PS Vita. So here is the latest update to Rinnegatamante, the dev behind VitaDB, and a ton of awesome ports. After all the support that I received here on YouTube, via mails, and in DMs, Discord, Reddit, X, I'm restoring VitaDB at its original state. Some things related to how VitaDB is maintained are going to change, and some new features will be introduced. Very exciting. So not only do we have VitaDB up and running, everything is available as it should be. It looks awesome, and there's a ton of great content. And if you haven't already downloaded VitaDB downloader for your PS Vita, I'll have that latest VPK in the description down below. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is technically nothing new, but it's something I'd like to mention because of all that happened with VitaDB and the shutdown. So we have VitaDBToo, and this is a community run rescue of VitaDB, the homebrew database for the PS Vita and PS TV. And this happened after the official service went offline. So this repository is the catalog. Application metadata, icons, and screenshots served as a static files over GitHub pages. Now, VitaDBToo just serves as a preservation, and there's over 800 assets here, a ton of APKs you can start downloading. But now that VitaDB has been restored, the dev is going to just continue to work on the preservation and just adding content to it. But it's nice to have this backup just in case something like this does happen again. Big shout out to Dr. Decky for providing this VitaDBToo preservation for us. It is much appreciated. Thank you. Next up, we have a new update to VitaForge. Now, if you're not familiar with what VitaForge is, it's basically a new homebrew catalog browser. It's similar to VitaDB, and ever since that shut down, other devs have kind of ran to the rescue to develop and create new applications for the PS Vita. And this was the spawn of that whole shutdown that happened. And the latest version just got released not too long ago, 0.1.1. I did cover this, but that wasn't the correct version. That was a beta version that wasn't completely finished. So this version 0.1.1 is finished and it looks great and it's working very well. And if you want to read through all of the changes, I'll have this link in the description down below for you. It's very easy to update VitaForge. All you have to do is download this VPK of version 1.1 and install it via VitaShell. So here is VitaForge 0.1.1 with over 4,900 applications ready to go. One interesting category that I see is the PS Vita game category, and these are PS Vita games. So when I was speaking to one of the developers that is involved in this project, mentioned that they wanted to implement the PKGJ library into this application, so that way you can browse through PS Vita games and install them directly through this application. So basically an all-in-one app for the PS Vita. Next up, we're going to be talking about BrewStation. So this is a new application that also, this idea has been spawned from the whole VitaDB shutdown. So I'm kind of glad that happened, because now we're seeing all these developers just getting involved and working on so many different new projects. So I was invited to a Discord server where they are developing a new homebrew store for the PS Vita, PSP, and PS3 named BrewStation. So BrewStation will be developed as a homebrew store, but people will be able to host their own instances on BrewStation too. So it will make it a little bit more decentralized, and there will also be a client in which you can put the instances of BrewStation that you want. So for example, like Cydia on a jailbroken iOS, you can just add your content onto it. There will be also the default instance of BrewStation maintained by the team, and it will be for the PS Vita, PSP, and PS3. So they're just in the works. They just started it on August 1st, like a day after it got shut down, the VitaDB debacle. So it's very interesting, like I said, that all of these guys are coming out of the woodwork and working on so many different projects. So make sure to support these guys, and I'll have a link in the description for that Discord if you want to share some ideas. So the next application we're going to be looking at is the OpenNow Vita application. This is where you can stream your NVIDIA GeForce Now content on your PS Vita. Now, I've already covered this application, but this new version is absolutely amazing, and it was provided to me by the developer. So this is a closed beta version, but I wanted to showcase it here in this video, and I'll let you guys know about all the new features to come on this application. So right off the bat, if we go into our settings, we have a ton of new changes. So right away we have our server region, which is very important, and it looks great. We also have our game language, our stream frame rate, our volume boost, and our color depth. So that is pretty nice. Let's go to controls and go under account, and we can now see our email and the version that we're on with OpenNow Vita. So let's go back and start a game, and I'm going to go with Valheim because this one is a little bit demanding, because it's like an open world sandbox kind of game. So let's go to automatic. So we'll select a server, and there has been a ton of great changes to it, which I'll read off as we wait when we log in. So obviously we have the updates to our settings, and now we have the option to see and select our servers, and there's support of ads. Now, one of the best features that I see is the timer at the bottom and your battery percentage. So that lets us know like where we're at on how much time we've been gaming on our account and how much battery we have. So that is very convenient. And not only that, we have our options at the top where we can select or deselect some options that we can see on our screen. For example, we can see all of our FPS or whatever all that information is all about. We also have our time, so we can disable and enable our time with the battery icon. Next is our settings button, so we can change our rear panel pressure, our rear touch panel, and the L3, R3 on the front screen. And finally, we have our keyboard that we can enable or disable. And there we are logged in. This is pretty awesome, and I'm streaming this game on here. Now, it doesn't look perfect, but I mean, it's pretty good for what it's capable of doing, you know, with this application. So I'm very happy about it. Can't thank the devs enough for making this happen, right? The next application I'd like to mention and talk about is called VitaDeck. This is going to be a new modern PS Vita game launcher. The same developer that's working on the VitaForge application and the OpenNow application for the PS Vita is currently working on a modern launcher. So right now they're still in the works, and it looks awesome. So right now they're working on the soundtrack for each game, so that way the experience feels a little bit more epic and immersive. So thank you so much for your hard work, and I cannot wait to see something like this. It's going to be great. So be on the lookout for that. Next up, we're going to be talking about a very interesting new plugin, and this one is called the Vita USB Stream. And this is an audio and video over USB that allows you to stream both the video and audio from a PS Vita to a computer using a single USB cable. Very interesting. So this project is based on the original UDCD UVC plugin, which only streamed video. So there was a hard time to get audio, and I tried different methods like a Bluetooth adapter, and that worked for a little bit, but then I was getting inconsistencies, and this plugin allows you to do both. Now, I did test this plugin, but I was having a ton of problems where I wasn't even able to boot into my Vita after I restarted it. When I first initially installed it, it worked. It was working just fine. I was going to use it in this video to do my video of my PS Vita and cover all of the latest updates today, but there was a ton of issues and I lost a lot of time this morning. I wasted about 2 hours just trying to figure out this problem, so I highly recommend no one to install this just yet because it's in the beta stages. And actually there was a few people that mentioned under the issues tab in GitHub that they've had that same problem. So just 15 hours ago, we had someone that was unable to boot into their Vita after installing the Vita USB stream. And I noticed that the audio wasn't perfect too. I was hearing a lot of fuzzy sounds, and then it would be inconsistent with what I was hearing from my Vita. The handshake wasn't complete there yet, but it's nice to see that they're working on something like this and that it exists. So hopefully releasing a new version here that fixes all of those problems. But the features is pretty awesome. You can see all of the features here on GitHub. And again, all those links will be in the description down below. And finally, I wanted to cover some very fun applications that just got released and some new updates to some of these applications and go through them fairly quickly. But I'll be making sure to make a separate video on each one of these applications so we dive into it a little bit more deeper. The first application we're looking at is the Digital Clock Vita version 1.01. And this is a minimal PlayStation Vita digital clock with MP3 music playback, alarm scheduling, and touch dismiss. Next up, we have PSV Cleaner version 1.15 by the Hero GAC. And the PSV Cleaner is a powerful and user-friendly temporary files cleaner designed specifically for the PlayStation Vita community. This tool helps you free up valuable storage space by safely removing temporary files, cache data, and system dumps that accumulate over time. Next application is SuperTux Classic Vita version 1.0.4 by the Hero, and this is a port of SuperTux Classic Milestone 1 with extensive bug fixes and performance optimizations. Next up, we have a new version of EMU for Vita++, version 0.78. And this is a libretro-based emulator front-end for the PlayStation Vita. So there has been a significant amount of changes on here in the last several versions. So this application supports all sorts of different retro consoles, and I highly recommend to add it to your collection of applications on your PS Vita. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in a separate video. The next application I'd like to mention is VitaTweakBox version 3.0 by Ben Mitnick. So this is a Vita Shell mod with a ton of added features, and again I'll talk about this in more depth in another video, but you can see all of the different options and features that this application has. Next up, we have a hardware diagnostics called VitaDoctor by the Hero GAC, and this is a standalone hardware testing and diagnostics tool for the PlayStation Vita. And this will work on the 1000 OLED, 2000 Slim, and the PlayStation TV. So this is very, very interesting. You can see the battery health and capacity. You can test out your display, your motion, audio, camera, and look at all of your system information along with a final report of how well your system is performing. Again, I will cover this in a separate video. Next up, we have the File Manager by Wolf's Room version 0.6.1, and this is an enhanced Vita shell by the Flow, a fork by Wolf's Room with animated backgrounds, full touchscreen dialogues, column view, undo system, QR code scanning, downloading, and independent settings at UXO FM Vita. And the final application we're going to cover is the VitaTube application. It has been resurrected from the dead, probably by AI. And I don't care at this point because I have a working YouTube application on my PS Vita and most people will be happy about it. Now the UI for VitaTube is looking pretty solid, and the great thing about it is that it's ad free, so you don't have to watch ads and you can just start watching content right away. So let's test one of these out. I'll do one of my latest PS Vita Homebrew videos, and it's running pretty solid. Again, I'll provide all of the links and VPKs in the description down below. So that is it for this one, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.